Welcome to the very first episode of Federal Market Frontlines, brought to you by TechnoMile. This show will explore timely issues shaping the ever-changing federal market for technology and services. TechnoMile is the leading AI solution that unifies growth, contracts, compliance, and security workflows.
Compliance and security was more or less like a table stakes. It wasn't something that was nice to have. There was a lot of siloed capability. So there was a need to have a connected enterprise where it can tell you all the way from pre-award to post-award. And we live in this new AI first world where you need to have data and you need to have applications that will make decisions for you, would reduce risk, introduce fewer surprises, and it would provide better audit readiness.
Companies, as you say, spend a lot on capture, but then all of a sudden the reality hits.
Now you're moving into this agentic workflow.
Welcome to the very first episode of Federal Market Frontlines, brought to you by TechnoMile. I'm your host, Tom Temin. This show will explore timely issues shaping the ever-changing federal market for technology and services. Guest is TechnoMile CEO Ashish Khot. TechnoMile is the leading AI solution that unifies growth, contracts, compliance, and security workflows, and it recently merged with SIMS Software, the premier provider of security software for the industrial market. The new company is backed by Capital Meridian Partners, a Washington, D.C.-based private equity firm that grows companies at the intersection of government and commercial markets. Today, we're going to learn more about this combination, what it brings to the market. Ashish, good to have you with us.
Hello. Hi, Tom. Very nice to be here with you to share the TechnoMile and the SIM story. Very excited.
All right. So when you started TechnoMile as a unified platform, I guess you felt that stitching together separate tools didn't quite cut it for the federal contractor. So what did you see early on and what did you find? And tell us a little bit about the genesis of this whole platform.
When I started TechnoMile, that was time, and it's almost been a few years now, and the environment that was presented back then was very much about a lot of legacy companies that were operating in this space, and the marketplace was really looking for a new capability, and they were looking at really horizontal platforms that were available to these large enterprises. And therein lies an opportunity, because how the government contracting, how aerospace defense companies are really constructed, they're very different from a generic capability that the systems were offering. Compliance and security was more or less like a table stakes. It wasn't something that was nice to have, and a lot of disconnected systems existed. So there was a need to have a connected enterprise where it can tell you all the way from pre-award to post-award. And that is how the companies were thinking. That's how they were being successful. But the systems were not really there to offer that unified view. There was a lot of siloed capability, and that capability was serviced by a lot of legacy companies. So we really took upon ourselves with that mission to create that connected enterprise that will address these siloed applications, connect them, and then recreate them in a brand new experience and with the technology. And that's how it started, and that's how it's kind of evolved year after year.
And now you've added SIMS Software, and that's important for TechnoMile. Tell us how, and more importantly, what it will do for users of the TechnoMile platform.
I think as market now, the SIMS TechnoMile merger is, we announced it earlier this year. So when you look back in the last 8 to 10 years of journey, the technology and the market has matured, where the growth, execution, compliance, and security really has to work together. We live in this new AI first world where you need to have data and you need to have applications that will make decisions for you, that will give not just inform and present the data, but actually really make actionable insight and perform actions for you. So the TechnoMile and SIMS merger, it just isn't about is less about expansion, but it's more about completing that complete life cycle. TechnoMile product capabilities was more focused on how do you win an opportunity, how do you pursue a business, how do you do the business development strategy, and then really do a contract execution, while SIMS covers all of the security and compliance aspect of it. And we really didn't have that capability, so it really builds that connected enterprise, takes our mission even further, and really delivers value to the customer, where now they have this visibility of end-to-end data of how contracts are performing, how the security data plays in the role, and then using that data to build an effective growth strategy.
And why SIMS in particular, of all the possibilities out there in cybersecurity and in cybersecurity automation? There's a lot of companies competing. What made SIMS the right partner?
I think security is such a broad term, and SIMS is more on a facility security clearances management. So it isn't necessarily into the cybersecurity aspect of it. This is more program security. And SIMS does bring in deep expertise. This is a company that has 40 plus years of experience. They're trusted by hundreds of large defense manufacturers as well as government agencies. And SIMS as an organization really is a trusted partner currently today, and it's considered as a compliance expert team. And so merging with them really connects that story and removes the friction, where you can now win the work as well as execute the work. The contract lifecycle execution, right, where the industry security agencies, the government agencies are really looking for both the contract delivery, contract execution tied up with that security element of it. So we are very excited to work with the SIMS legacy. It's a very established brand. It's been delivering value to customers year after year after year. I mean, 40 plus years. Talk about really showing like endurance in being in a marketplace. So that's the reason we got gravitated towards SIMS, how the customers have trusted them. And even when my conversations with them in last 45 days with their team as well as the customers we have met really reinforce the need and really the value and why the TechnoMile SIMS merger would truly be a unique combination to the customers.
And what are some of the problems that this unified platform now with the inculcation of SIMS can bring? Because your customers, contractors, have to run their own businesses and they have to be compliant, especially in the age of programs like CMMC program, but also they have to deliver for the customer on the customer agency mission. So kind of two halves here. How does this help them solve those problems on looking both ways?
Yeah, so the combined connected ecosystem and the platform would reduce risk. It would introduce fewer surprises, and it would provide better audit readiness for all of our customers. So how does it reduces few surprises, right? Companies, they go after opportunities, but they really have to rely on this separate system to track what type of clearances that they have, what type of compliance that exists related to facility clearances, people clearances. We will be able to kind of unlock that information and present it to the customers right at the evaluation of these, either the opportunities or really if a company wants to go into a new agency and then they now have to evaluate, okay, how is our preparedness as an organization in order to win that agency's mission. Now you can connect all this data and really that's the fewer surprises. It reduces the risk. It set the baseline expectation. Are we ready? Is an organization ready to pursue that program, pursue those opportunities? The security posture becomes visible. It becomes clearer. Contract obligations compliance, where you have to generate several forms that currently this becomes like a swivel chair mechanism. contracts person sends the email to facility or security officer. The compliance requires like visitor data, foreign visits of your cleared employees, contacts with foreign nationals. All that information every company has to deliver as a part of contract compliance. Connected ecosystem of products will now even predict risk with introduction of AI and all the new capability. So overall, no more handoffs between multiple teams, reduce large number of spreadsheets and collaboration, and the whole agentic workflow would increase a lot more efficiency into all of these workflows and our customers.
And does this work intuitively for the customer? And I guess that brings up the question of artificial intelligence. Sounds like it's embedded in a lot of this. And so maybe talk about the AI role here, especially as it helps automate some of these compliance and contract winning processes that have been done by hand, and as you say, the handoff from person to person over all these years.
The mission and the approach that TechnoMile is taking is AI should support judgment, it should support governance, and it should scale an organization. It isn't necessarily going to replace the human expertise. I mean, we are talking about a very highly regulated, very complex industries where the human expertise plays a pivotal role, right? This is the approach of you can just do something in a generic sales process or marketing technology. That same approach would work in this complex workflow isn't necessarily going to be true. So we are going to be using AI to really enable human judgment, empower them to really provide information that will make actions for them. So it's really emphasis on transparency, auditability, trust, security. We have to rely on this very strict boundaries. So really introducing this AI, which will reduce risk, not introduce new risk by like, where is my information moving? What context window is going to be using? Does my information get commingled with data? Because we're talking very high level of sensitive information, and you would need like a trusted partner in order to believe in their ability, and that's what we want to provide. And AI is very much a centerpiece for every organization's innovation, and with the access to data and our expertise, we'll be delivering a lot of new capability. The SIMS software we have identified a whole large backlog of what we can deliver to our customers, and connected as the teams are getting together, we are now developing a roadmap, and we're very excited to truly deliver AI capabilities to the SIMS customers in the security side, as well as once we introduce this combination of SIMS plus TechnoMile product capability, it will have this contract compliance and risk embedded within these applications, and AI will really help us deliver that.
And compliance is important, contract compliance is important, and regulatory compliance. But what about growth and security? I mean, these are really the issues that also affect contractors. Do you see AI helping in the business growth area also?
Absolutely. Before, as I was mentioning, like there has to be an organizational readiness before you can take on a new agency's mission. And that front and center as a growth executive, you're looking at, is my organization ready to support this agency's mission? And that information is truly starts with like, what are the requirements? I mean, you obviously have technical capabilities. Do I have the resources? Do I have the past performance? But then there is another element of like, do I have the right skilled resources that have clearances? Do I have the right facility that can support this? All of that has to be realized very early into the process. Otherwise, you can spend a lot of capture dollars and then realize and recognize that you don't have the necessary compliance apparatus to really deliver this value. And then at a large organ, that's predominantly going to be true for mid to small organizations. And now when you look at like larger organizations, they need to be able to operate it at scale. And that's where all this information, if we can present it to the executives, now they can make these decisions of what is the total risk on this program, what do we need to mitigate that risk, what are the obligations management as required for this growth opportunity. And as we'll introduce AI into all of these practical use cases, that's going to deliver our customers this unique value proposition that no one's doing this today. From this end-to-end story, and TechnoMile plus SIMS merger is going to unlock a lot of this value to the customers, and we are very excited.
That's really a good point, because companies, as you say, spend a lot on capture, but then all of a sudden the reality hits. If they win, then they have to have all that compliance capability and simple delivery capability, on a technical front. So it sounds like the AI component early on can help them be ready should they get that capture, should they get that contract. They won't have any nasty surprises in fulfilling it in a compliant way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need to have the information available, and with the AI's capability, it's really giving you insights into what could happen and what is happening and what actions you should take in order to mitigate that risk. Because that's the direction where you started AI with copilots that were more assisting, and now you're moving into this agentic workflow. And there is a right balance required between how do you inform an end user and how do you now execute those steps in a responsible way, where the human in the loop can play a role and you're not just sleeping on the wheels.
Right, and as you mentioned, all of this activity can happen now within the TechnoMile platform. But you also mentioned that SIMS had a 40-year history of success and a lot of customers, a big customer base. So what are you preserving, and what's important to preserve, I guess you could say, from a cultural standpoint, such that you get all of the value from the acquired SIMS?
As I mentioned, the trust and credibility that the SIMS has established into the marketplace, that is going to be one of the top part in order for us to preserve. SIMS has many years of working with these customers. They trust them. They're considered very credible. And that comes from their deep respect for the domain expertise. When we have talked to the SIMS team, we have recognized that there are several individuals who are ex-facility security officers who have worked in large government agencies as well as government contractors. So they have actually a better understanding of how do you build the realities of what the customers face in a day-to-day changing environment. So keeping that trust and expertise along with that domain knowledge, that's going to be very important, along with really understanding of the customers. Like we have a lot of TechnoMile and SIMS together support very large section of similar customers. Defense organizations are using TechnoMile capabilities as well as SIMS capability, but it's a different user personas within those organizations. So marrying the knowledge, we have domain experts on contracts and growth. How do they now tie up and match them up with security knowledge and then build that new capability? That's something that is going to be very critical, and that's front and center. How can we can mix knowledge of our customers and deliver the trusted capability.
All right, so then to summarize, speaking to the GovCon community, government contracting, civilian side, plus you've got extensive clients in aerospace and defense, what's the main takeaway you'd like to leave everyone with this morning?
So it's about continuity and it's about trust across this life cycle, right? The future that we are building is an integrated stack. It's compliant and secure by design, and really excited to build this new platform that goes all the way from pre-award. We had this pre-award to post-award, and now that post-award journey is not just staying in compliance, but actually how do you deliver on this year after year on these large multi-year contracts. So really excited. We get a lot of now, we were very TechnoMile pre-SIMS merger was only focused on aerospace, defense, government contracting. While there are many government agencies that trust SIMS for the security portion of it. So we're going to also get an exposure into beyond your traditional government contracting customers to government agencies, education, research institute. So we are confident that the platform that we will build is how this market is evolving. We want to learn from them. We are going to be doing a lot of events where we'll bring in not just TechnoMile customers, but TechnoMile and SIMS customer together under one umbrella so that we can build cross knowledge domain, gather and listen to our customers, and really execute this new capability with AI first in mind.
All right, Ashish Khot is the CEO of TechnoMile. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much.
And that's it for this edition of Federal Market Frontlines. In our next episode, we'll speak with security expert Charles Phelan, former director of the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency. Until then, I'm Tom Temin.